Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Tom Schlueter, and I want to share with you something that is extremely important in this hour regarding who we are and what we are called to do, and with what intensity we need to do it with. I want to read my message this morning from my book, Wielding the Axe, because I don't want to miss any portion of this. In this season, we are spending a lot of time and focus on what is happening on our border here in the state of Texas. And there have been several prophetic words that have been spoken regarding the stand that is being taken. And it is comparing it to the stand that was made in 1836 at the Alamo, where those brave soldiers, passionate about freedom for the republic that they were wanting to see, were willing to give up their lives even to death. Let me read. While at the Alamo Mission in San Antonio, Commander William Barrett Travis issued a letter signed Victory or Death and dated February 24th, 1836, coming up on that anniversary. At the Alamo in San Antonio, then called Bayard, 150 plus Texas rebels led by Travis made their stand against Santa Anna's vastly superior Mexican army. On the second day of the siege, on February 24th, Travis called for reinforcements with this historic message, but little help came. Santa Anna's troops broke through on March 6th. All of the defenders of the Alamo died. This historic letter was delivered from the Alamo to Texas by Captain Albert Martin of Gonzales. The letter: Commandancy of the Alamo, Bayard, February 24th, 1836. To the people of Texas, and listen to this, and all Americans in the world, fellow citizens and compatriots. I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the Mexicans under Santa Anna. I have sustained a continual bombardment and cannonade for 24 hours and have not lost a man. The enemy has demanded a surrender at discretion. Otherwise, the garrison are to be put to the sword if the fort is taken. I have answered the demand with a cannon shot, and our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. Then I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and everything dear to the American character to come to our aid with all dispatch. The enemy is receiving reinforcements daily and will no doubt increase to 3,000 or 4,000 in 4 or 5 days. If this call is neglected, I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his own honor and that of his country. Victory or death. William Barrett Travis, Lieutenant Colonel, Commander. The year was 1960, and John Wayne's new movie, The Alamo, came to the big screen. I was 8 years old, and I was an avid fan of David Crockett. It's somewhat interesting to have him as a fan when I was living in northwest Iowa at the time and had no background or understanding of the history of Texas. But I had fought many a battle, like Davy Crockett, on the steps of the church that my dad pastored in Monticello, Iowa. As a 9-year-old, my interest in Davy Crockett grew even more as my dad took a pastoral call to a church in Dickinson, Texas. I grew up singing the ballad of Davy Crockett from Walt Disney. I had one of the old Alamo sets where I literally recreated the entire Alamo complex. Oops, I still have the old Alamo set. And now I lived in Texas and was thrilled beyond belief. The first time I was able to step on that sacred ground in San Antonio. I can still remember that first Halloween in Texas when I was able to dress up as Davy Crockett with an outfit that my mom had made for my older brother that was complete with a coonskin cap, the shirt, and a play flintlock rifle. My life was made complete regarding Davy Crockett when my dad, who had collected antique militaria, gave me a Kentucky flintlock rifle. I believe I have made that point that Davy Crockett was a very important historical character in my life. Let me tangent a little bit here, because my dad also collected some cannonballs, and I took up that collection and have added several to it, from well-known battles, Gettysburg, Lexington, Shiloh, many others. I think my collection was made complete a couple of years ago when I was able to purchase 2 cannonballs found in the rubble of the Alamo. On the morning of September 21st, 2020, I had a waking dream regarding Davy Crockett. I'm still unaware if I was with him or if I was actually him. In the dream, I was with a group that had just arrived in North Texas from Tennessee, and that's where he had come from. A choice had been placed before us of which direction we would take as we continued to head south. I rose up with confidence as Davy Crockett and said, "We will proceed to San Antonio. Even if it means our death, we will go where the Lord wants us to go." The dream ended. Later that morning, in prayer, I thought, obviously, of Esther. Then Mordecai told them to reply to Esther, "Do not think to yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more than all the other Jews. For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this." Esther 4:13-14. I believe with all my heart that we're in that season. Hence the prophetic words regarding the Alamo. It's time to make a stand. We all know the story. Some consider it a myth, that Travis had to draw a line in the sand. And he gave every one of those in the garrison there at the Alamo the choice to come across. They all did, except one. But they all pledged themselves to win or to lose, but either way, they were going to fight for liberty. They were going to fight for what was important. Now, I'm not setting us up here for all of us to die. I don't believe we need to end that way. But I do believe that it has to be in our spirit. We have to have the same resolve of not compromising, not backing down. No détente here. We're going to go ahead and preserve what God has granted to us, even if it costs us our lives. I find it amazing that in Travis's letter that he calls out to not just Texans, but to all Americans around the world. And I want to take this opportunity to thank at least 25 states that have already said from their governor's mansion, we're going to stand with Texas. We're going to stand with them as they try their best to preserve the right, the sovereign right to protect the land that we live on and call as our own. What a powerful demonstration of the oneness of the kingdom in this hour. I call all of us to take that stand, not just for us on the border here, but also for all across the nation, where people are now becoming awakened to what God wants us to do for His kingdom. And we're no longer willing to compromise, no longer willing to back down when it's issues regarding the education of our children or human trafficking. or any of the other perverse evils that are going on in the world around us. I want to refer to you, this is Tuesday, and yesterday, Monday, February 12th. Please read Dutch Sheets, give him 15 if you haven't already. Because in that post, he gives the definition of anarchy. It comes from two words which simply means without a leader. We are in a season where our nation and many of our states are without leaders, and it's causing anarchy. I am grateful that God has lifted up many strong and godly leaders here in the state of Texas, but not just in the natural, but in the spiritual. And I am confident that he's doing that all across the nation in this hour, as he's causing a great rising up of ecclesia leaders that will take us into the future through this chaos, through the war, through the challenge to who we are and our liberties, and bring us to the other side in revival and transformation and the manifestation of God's kingdom and his will on earth as it is in heaven. I decree over you as you're listening to this, you are one of those leaders. Take a stand. Take it in the glory and the presence and in obedience and faith to your Lord and King Jesus Christ. For you are his son, you are his daughter, you are a king and a priest, and he's called you for this hour. Blessings to all of you.